Criminals who almost got away, BTK's fatal floppy disk. For 31 years, a serial killer vanished without a trace. No arrests, no suspects charged, no closure. He called himself BTK. It stood for three chilling words: bind, torture, kill. His real name? Dennis Rader. And for decades he hid in plain sight. The beginning of terror. It started in 1974 in Wichita, Kansas. A quiet Midwestern city, safe neighborhoods, churches on every corner, families who left their doors unlocked. That illusion shattered on January 15th. 4 members of the Otero family were found murdered inside their home. Bound, strangled, killed methodically. Police were stunned. The brutality was shocking, but even more disturbing. There were no clear suspects, and then, months later, a letter arrived. It was sent to local media. Inside, the writer described the murders in graphic detail, details only the killer could know. He signed it with 3 letters: BTK. That was the first time Wichita met the monster who would haunt them for decades. A killer who wanted credit. Unlike many serial killers who try to avoid attention, BTK craved it. He wanted the world to know his name. He wanted fear. He wanted control. Over the next several years, he murdered more victims, stalking them for weeks, sometimes months. He would break into homes, wait, watch, then strike. Between killings, he sent more letters, poems, drawings, even word puzzles. He mocked the police. He complained when he didn't receive enough media coverage. He compared himself to fictional villains. He wasn't just killing, he was performing. But then, in 1991, the letters stopped, the killings stopped, and BTK disappeared. The vanishing years passed. Then more years. Detectives retired. Leads went cold. DNA technology was still developing, and much of the evidence from the 1970s wasn't processed in ways that could help later. Eventually, many believed BTK was dead, or in prison for another crime, or had simply moved away. Wichita tried to heal, but no one truly forgot, because there was no arrest, no answers, just silence, for 13 years. The return. Then, in 2004, something changed. Out of nowhere, a package arrived at the Wichita Eagle newspaper. Inside were copies of crime scene photos and a letter. BTK was back. Older, angrier, still desperate for attention. He was furious that other serial killers were getting documentaries, books, headlines, and he was being forgotten. So he decided to remind everyone. He began communicating again, sending letters to media outlets and police. He included details that proved beyond doubt. This was the original killer. The city was terrified all over again. But this time, technology had changed, and so had law enforcement. The fatal question. In one letter, BTK asked police a question. It seemed almost innocent, almost naive. He wrote, "If I send you a floppy disk, can you trace it?" A floppy disk. Even in 2004, that was outdated technology. But to BTK, it felt safe, detached, anonymous. Police made a bold decision. They responded publicly through the newspaper. No, they said it could not be traced. It was a lie, a calculated one. And BTK believed them. After decades of evading capture, after outsmarting investigators, he trusted them, and he mailed the disk. The digital trail. When investigators received the floppy disk, they didn't just open the file. They examined everything, including something BTK didn't think about. Metadata. Hidden information inside the file. Information most people never see. The deleted document on the disk contained church-related writing. But more importantly, the metadata revealed it had been created by someone named Dennis. That alone wasn't enough, but it was a crack in the armor. Digging deeper, investigators discovered the file had been saved on a computer registered to Christ Lutheran Church in Wichita. And who was the church president? Dennis Rader. a married father of two, a compliance officer for the city, a man who enforced rules on others, a respected member of the community. He had even installed security systems. The man who terrified Wichita was hiding in plain sight. The arrest police began surveillance. They quietly collected a DNA sample from his daughter's medical records, legally obtained from stored materials. They compared it to DNA from crime scenes. It was a match. On February 25, 2005, Dennis Rader was pulled over near his home. He didn't run, he didn't fight. He simply asked one question: is this about BTK? After 31 years, the nightmare was over. The confession. In court, Rader didn't deny it. He described the murders in chilling clinical detail. No emotion, no remorse, as if he were reading from a grocery list. He explained how he chose victims, how he stalked them, how he fantasized about control. The courtroom was silent. Families listened to the man who had shattered their lives. In 2005, he was sentenced to 10 consecutive life terms in prison. He will never walk free. The downfall after decades of escaping capture, after surviving changes in technology, after watching investigators retire, his undoing came from something simple, a floppy disk. But really, it wasn't the disk. It was ego, overconfidence, the desperate need for recognition. BTK couldn't stand being forgotten. He needed the spotlight, and that need made him careless. He believed he was smarter than everyone else, that he controlled the game, but criminals who crave power often destroy themselves trying to prove it. The lesson: BTK nearly got away with it. If he had stayed silent, he might never have been caught, but silence wasn't enough. He needed attention. And in the digital age, even the smallest mistake leaves a trace. One deleted file, one overlooked detail, one lie he chose to believe. That was all it took. If you enjoyed this deep dive into criminals who almost got away with it, make sure to like and subscribe for more stories of crime, psychology, and the tiny mistakes that brought down monsters hiding in plain sight. Because sometimes, the most dangerous people are the ones you'd never suspect.